Hey guys, it's Parzival. I also go by Will, and I'm back with another speed paint. I'm not really gonna talk about the actual speed paint that much, except for the fact that it's for my baby sibling TK, and this is their character Cress, who has this really cute pastel aesthetic. So yeah, this was part of an art trade I did with them. But overall, for this video, I want to talk about how I met them, which is probably sounds kind of weird because I just said they're my sibling, and they are, but I think that this is an important story to share, and it's a story that I want to share with you guys. So if you guys just want to mute this audio and put on your own music because this is going to be kind of sappy, feel free to do that. I don't care. Also, as a statement, if you don't care about my interpersonal relationships, I would also recommend muting this and just watching the art because I'm gonna talk about stuff that's pretty personal to me, and it's not like personal in terms of I don't want people to know it, but it is personal in terms of I don't want weird, like, opinions of, well, they're not your family because this is very personal to me. So, again, if you don't want to hear about my personal interpersonal relationships, then please mute the video. I'll be hiding any comments that are kind of talking about, well, they're not actually your family, by the by, as a disclaimer. So, to start off, as a little bit of context, I don't have the best relationship with what you would call a blood family. They aren't even really a blood family. I was adopted, and I wasn't really put in a position to really get to know most of them very well. I was an only child, and most of my family lived either in a different state or far enough away that I couldn't really see them. It was just me and my parent, who I don't have a great relationship with either. That's not really anything that I need to go into right now, but context is I don't really have a great relationship with the family that I was born into, quote unquote, or given or ended up with. So, family is always a thing that really I never really had or understood or had good relationships with. As a result, as an adult, when I got older, I realized that family isn't just who you're related to. It's not even the blood is thicker than water thing because I was adopted, and that's not a bad statement either. I never feel ashamed about the fact that I'm adopted. I never was made to feel ashamed about the fact that I'm adopted. People go, "Oh, I'm sorry," if I ever tell them I'm adopted, and there's really nothing to be sorry about. I was one of those people who knew from a very early age that I was adopted, and it was never something to be ashamed of. It was just kind of a fact of life. I was just adopted. And it was from there I realized that if you wanted family, it didn't have to be someone who you were blood related to. It's just someone you have to culture a relationship with, because that's basically how I was raised. Someone chose to bring me into their family, said, "This is my child now," and decided that, okay, this is my family now. Even though I didn't have a great relationship with that parent, that was still an important lesson to me, because even though people are like, well, you kind of got to just deal with the family you're given, that's not really the case. It my my parent didn't really deal with the family they were given. They chose to adopt a kid. And so when I became an adult and I realized that, I decided to culture my own family, because I wanted to have the family who supported me and loved me that I never really grew up with. So I started calling people my family because they were very close to me. They knew I would go to them for things that I would go to, well, I imagine I would go to siblings and cousins for. I couldn't really go to my parent because they didn't really understand me and I didn't really have a good relationship with them. So I went to other people, and those people became my family because they did what family is supposed to do in terms of, like, the standard stereotypical family, and they supported me. They gave me emotional advice and emotional support. They cared about me and my well-being and tried to give me moral lessons if I needed help with something, and all of that. So I slowly started building up my own family. And around this time when I was building up my family, I joined a group where it was an OCT. It was an original character tournament where everyone competed. And I met this really, really sweet, understanding, and most importantly, very communicative person named TK, who was very shy, but also very, very polite, very invested in making sure that other people were feeling okay, stuff like that. When I first met them, I didn't really get to know them very quickly because I didn't run in the same RP circle as them, but as the OCT kept happening year after year, I slowly got closer to them, and I slowly began talking to them more, to the point where after the OCT, we were really close, and we were, exchanging stories back and forth. We were laughing about our own characters, and we got to know each other on a personal level, not just on who our characters were in the OCT. So that became a really nice sort of relationship, and it was then that I found out that they were like 4 years younger than me, and I didn't know this. When I had met them, I was about 18 or 19, and they were like 14 or 15, maybe 13. I'm very bad with time and ages, and I know that they are 4 years younger than me, so it really depends on how old I was. But they were like 14 or 15 when I met them, which was mind-blowing to me because they were a very mature person from the get-go, and I'm kind of glad that I didn't know that they were 13 or 14 because I would have been super, super awkward around them. Not that I did anything like that you shouldn't do, because I am a very awkward person in general and don't like sharing like personal information or anything inappropriate with people who I don't know very closely. But it was still pretty like surprising that, oh gosh, this person is 4 years younger than me. And it was one of those situations where that was actually a really like serious time for us, because we had to sit down and evaluate like how we interacted with each other and stuff like that. And we did get to a point where we're generally just not really like, we're not really the type to share that kind of stuff anyway, so it didn't really matter. It was just kind of like, oh gosh, I've been talking to this person who's 4 years younger than me. I hope I haven't been a bad influence somehow. But over time, as we got close, I started thinking of them as, more than just a best friend. They were someone who I would give advice to. They would give advice to me. They would support me and my art, and I would support them in their art. And I saw them grow as a person. And it really felt like what people said having a younger sibling is like. And this isn't to be like any sort of like condescending or something like that to them, because they don't need my help, obviously. They have their own circle and stuff like that, but we got to a point where it was very much like having a sibling relationship. So when we got to that point, it was just kind of like, oh, well, I guess we're more than best friends, or we are kind of best friends, but it definitely feels like that's not the best term we could use for that. Especially because, like, society has this weird sort of stuff about telling someone that you love them while you're your friends, because that automatically indicates something like romantic, and that's not how I felt, and I didn't feel comfortable doing that with someone who was just like a friend. But like, I do love them very much. They are basically my sibling, and so because this was around the time that I decided I can choose my family. That's a thing that I can do, because people have done that to me in the past. People have chosen me as their child. I'm like, I can choose this person as my sibling, assuming, they're okay with it. And we had the long conversation about, hey, you matter to me very much. I care about you a lot, and I consider you a sibling. And are you guys, are you okay if I call you my sibling? And they're like, I'm totally fine with that, so long as you're okay with me calling you my big sibling. And I was very honored by that, and that's kind of the relationship we have now. This got really sappy, but they're very important to me, and I consider them, a sibling. And of course, things might change in the future. You don't always have good relationships with your siblings, but they support me, I support them, and it's something that I want to continue doing in the future because I care about them a lot. And I think that it's something that more people should do. They should culture the relationships they have with people, and if they don't have a good relationship with their family, then fine, find a new one. But that's very simplistic, and that's also just not necessarily a topic I want to go into too deeply about, bad relationships with family and stuff like that. But yeah, that's about it for this really, really sappy video. Thank you for sticking around if you have. As usual, if you want to support me, I do have a Patreon linked in the description below, where I post my daily sketch dumps, and all of my art also goes on there, or at least most of it. And yeah, that's basically just a donation bin. If you have any questions, you can put them down in the comments below, or any comments can go down there. Or there's also all of my social media, which is also linked in the description. Thank you guys so much for your support. I'll see you next time. Bye!